Looking at polar perspectives with TI Inspire, what one would want to do is look at the trace. You're not going to have the beautifully animated development of the polar graph, but you might be able to do it through some of the dynamic geometry realms. And if I think about it and do something, I'll send the file to Nancy and she can pass it along. But I think this is the gist of the question at hand. When you're in your menu, you want to go to Trace first. And in Trace, you want to double check that your trace step is not automatic. So we want to change that automatic to another number. I've been practicing, so 1/100th is already there, but you would want to change to a number of your choice. So I'm just going to click OK, and now I'm ready to use the trace feature. I go to Menu. At Menu, I go to Trace, and at Trace, I go to Graph Trace. I'm going to hover around the tool to kind of give an idea of what it's about. Cursor left or right to move along the graph, up or down to trace a different graph. Entering a number is not going to work on this because that would be if you were in function mode. So I'm going to go over here. Notice this little blue cursor means that I'm on my blue graph. And I'm going to go back in time, and I'm going to go to where theta would be 0 at the very beginning. So it's going to take a little while, but I'm wanting my precision to be pretty down there. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I couldn't do 1,000. It was just too slow for me. But notice that when we are moving along this graph, we find that 2, 0 appears to be the coordinates where we have an intersection point, but we would need a 2, 0 for the red graph. Well, to switch to the red graph, we would access up or down with our arrow key. As soon as I did that, now when I do that, the computer pops it up a little, so you need to go back. And lo and behold, on my red graph, I also have the same radius at the same theta. So that makes me, I'm feeling pretty confident that that's a true intersection point. I think that's what Paul Forrester called them in his pre-cal book. Now we're going to mosey on over to another theta value, and I'm really wanting to be at that pole. So I'm moving along, and for my red equation, it appears that I'm going to be at my pole around a theta value of pi½ radian. So let's see if I'm going to get that reading for my cardioid. So I arrow up or down to get to the blue graph, and lo and behold, as I move on down the road, I'm at the pole when theta is pi radian. And we can confirm that by looking at the symbolic representations of the polar equation. But essentially, that's probably the best way to do the polar exploration on the TI-89. I highly recommend that you switch to a dynamic geometry software, but it does do its job. Hope this helps. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.